Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 5 Christian movies that are actually good and that I would actually recommend as a Christian and both a film enthusiast. So let's get this intro out of the way and we'll jump into my picks. Welcome once again, my name's Austin and this channel is all about digging deeper and going further to better understand faith and film and everything that's in between. If that sounds exciting to you, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any new content. Now, I think this is going to end up being a 2-part series. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to post part 2 next week, but I want to do kind of this video focusing on actually Christian films, and then another one of movies that aren't necessarily Christian, but I find the most Christian themes in. So for now, in this video, we're going to talk about the more blatantly Christian movies. But before I start, I do want to note, I'm planning on doing my first live stream that I announced next week. I announced this a couple of months back, and I've just been trying to find the best time to do it. I've been super busy this summer, and I wanted to actually do it when I could commit to doing it well. So I'm planning next week on Wednesday, I think, and it's going to be around midday, early afternoon Eastern time. So if you're available for that, I'll definitely be posting about it on my social media channels. So check my Facebook page, my Instagram page to see more details about when that's going to be going up. But as of now, I'm planning to do my first live stream Wednesday. And in those live streams, we're going to be talking about the movies that we've been watching recently. So they're going to be very laid back, just talking about what movies we've been watching, what we've liked, what we didn't like. You can ask me random questions, all that kind of stuff. So now with all those announcements out of the way, let's get started on my picks. My first pick is going to be the obvious one. I want to get this one out of the way right away because this is one that I talk about all the time, and that is Ragamuffin. I have it behind me here. It is an incredible story, and what I love about this one is it is made within the Christian kind of system of filmmaking, but it's not afraid to show the real life struggles and hardships of somebody who actually lived on this earth. And it is someone named Rich Mullins, who was a Christian musician back in the 90s. He struggled with such things of belief and trust in God, as well as alcoholism and stuff like that. So he had a lot of stuff that he dealt with throughout his life, and this movie does an excellent job capturing those things while also focusing on the hope that comes with the Christian faith. So this is one that I recommend constantly to people if they're looking for an actually legitimately great Christian film. Next is one I don't yet have in my collection, but is one that I grew up watching a lot. And if you're familiar with many Christian movies in that industry, you'll recognize the name, the Kendrick brothers. They are at least one of them is a pastor of a kind of mega church down south, and their church produces these Christian films. But my favorite one of theirs was actually the second one they made, and that is Facing the Giants. I'm not really a sports guy, but I dig a really good, solid football movie, and I think this is a great one. It's about a guy who becomes a coach of a local football team at a Christian school and it's a high school team, and he kind of comes in and rebuilds the team, really helps to encourage them in both their faith, their sportsmanship, all that kind of stuff. It's got a really good story. It's really good family-friendly entertainment too, so that's one reason I definitely recommend it. And it's the one that over the years of the movies that these brothers have made through this system and church that I like the most. I think the rest of their movies are okay. I generally like them, but this one is one that I definitely recommend people checking out. So Facing the Giants is my second pick. Next, third pick is another one that I do have in my collection, and that is another one that I grew up watching. We're talking about DreamWorks' Prince of Egypt. Now, this isn't necessarily blatantly a Christian film because it was made by DreamWorks, which is not a Christian company, but this movie really does a good job of capturing the heart of the story of Moses and the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt. It does it in a really good way. There's a lot of great stuff to learn. Obviously, like any movie, they're gonna take some creative liberties with the story and certain details and elements, that kind of thing. But I think it does a really good job of just getting to the heart of the story, and it gets right the things that it needs to, making for a great story, excellent visuals, especially for the time that this film was released. This is one that is another great family-friendly one, and again, not necessarily made directly within the Christian film industry, but to me, you can't deny the blatant Christian themes and story beats that are in this adaptation of the great story. Next pick, we have another football movie, and this is one that I was actually only introduced to, I think about a year or two ago, and this one is called Greater. Now this, I haven't done as much research on to know, but I believe this was, at least to an extent, a collaboration within the Christian industry, because it tells the story of a football player, obviously, who is a Christian, and it's based on a true story, and he is considered one of the greatest walk-ons in college football history. And it's a very, very inspiring, powerful story. It deals with a lot of themes that are both Christian and very human at the same time. It tells the story, obviously, of this young man who is the walk-on, but also his brother. And again, it is based on a true story, and I love the dynamic of the two brothers, their relationship in this movie, because as many people know, I have a very close relationship with my brother. So anything that's going to do with the brotherly relationship is going to hit me pretty hard and feels. And so I love their dynamic, their relationship, and the different ways that both the brothers kind of have their own arc within this movie. So this is one, again, I haven't known about this one for quite too long, but it's definitely one that I want to recommend to people. So if you've not, I believe it was on Netflix when I was watching it. I don't know if it still is, but that is Greater, and one that I definitely recommend. My last pick, I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one because The Chosen isn't necessarily a movie, but this series is so relevant and current to what's happening right now. They just wrapped up season 2 of the show, and I absolutely love what they are doing with this series. This series tells the story of Jesus and his disciples, and what's different about this one, it is a very down-to-earth and authentic approach to those stories. The biggest compliment I can give this show is it does an excellent job humanizing both the person of Jesus and the disciples. It's so cool to see in all these different scenarios a potential conversation and engagement and story that could have taken place in between the lines of scripture. It goes very authentically through the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but fills in those gaps of these conversations that may not have actually happened, but it does so in such a respectful and authentic way that it's so powerful. The stories that are being told through this series, it's affecting a huge amount of people. It inspires me to go back and read these stories in my Bible, which is awesome, and I love what this series is doing. If you've not checked it out, you don't need to pay for it at all. I just went ahead and bought it because I want to support them, but you can watch this show for free on their YouTube channel. You can watch it in their app, anything. I highly recommend it if you've not checked it out yet, and if you are someone who's been watching this show, you already know what I'm talking about. So those are my picks for 5 Christian movies that I actually recommend watching that are actually good. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. If you have any other movie recommendations that you would like to share, you can do so in the comments down below. I would love to see what other people are picking, because I'm someone who takes very careful consideration into the Christian movies I'm actually going to recommend to people, and so I put a lot of thought into these ones. So share your picks down below. If you've seen any of the ones that I recommended, or if you've not, let me know in the comments down below as well. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to be next week. We may just do a live stream for next week's video, but if I got the time, I may also throw up part 2 where I'm recommending not necessarily blatant Christian movies that have really good Christian themes in them. So look forward to those videos coming at least next week, if not the week after as well. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one.